kingmakers in my constituency will decide.
Delegates. Okay.
Let me say good morning
to second D4. Good morning to all of you. And then also, Andrew Japamesa is being paired with his colleague, legal practitioner, currently director for the legal committee or the legal team of the NDC. Eduji Tamaklo is right here. Good morning to you, Eduji. I know that you've been going around some of the constituency monitoring the registration.
Good morning, Roland, and good morning to my senior, Ejapa.
Morning.
Good morning to our cherished viewers.
Fantastic. Prince Henry, you're joining us from Kofodia. It's the birthday of Hamoda Hamidu. Good morning to you. As you're known on the stream, we wish you all the best. And please join us. Share the comments as they come. Also get to share the stream. It's very important for us. Let us know what you think of today's lineup. And today we're discussing all the things that have transpired. The demonstration, Occupy Julobi House, and it's been led by what they call the Democratic Hub. And alongside, in between, we have the flats right here in Accra, and we seem to have relegated to the back burner the voter registration exercise being organized by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. So we will be looking at all that. But let's just give you the pictures as they happened, culminating finally on Saturday, the demonstration. And these young people and also these democratic agitators decided to throng the streets. Just small numbers on the first. They were arrested, and that's where the whole demonstration erupted. Reported widely by all the international media houses, the BBC, Al Jazeera. And as you know, Al Jazeera, they did that gold mafia documentary we wrote to them as well. And very instrumental on the international stage, and this sent shock waves across the world. Yeah. Now let's have one of the lead conveners, if not the lead conveners of Democratic House, and we know him. Oliver Baka Vomawo is a legal practitioner, of course, had in Cambridge as well, lecturing, and let's hear from him.
Tomorrow we are showing up again, and we're marching to Julobi House. That is the purpose and intendment and end point of our demonstration. We have no intention to confront the police. We're inviting the police again to be respectful of the law and the rules of our constitution. That the language of orders from above must cease. There's no order more stronger that speaks with a clearer voice than the constitution of this republic. Now we, the people, are inviting them to provide the necessary protection so that we can go before the people's house and speak truth to power. This is the promise of our democracy. We are moving again, and we are going towards the Jubilee House. So many people have spoken up about coming. So many of you were looking to today to see whether or not the police will misconduct themselves. I hope that you have gotten your answer. That in the face of misconduct and indiscipline, when you raise your voice of justice, you can quench the fires of violence that the police animates the police. Today has been the freest we have ever been. This is what we can achieve. You have no reason to be afraid. You have no reason to be fearful. Come forward and join us and join your brothers and sisters in the ranks. Let us march on the streets and claim the people's democracy for them. Because the dividends of our democracy, it is for us, the people. We do not have the luxury. We do not have the luxury to hide millions in our bedrooms. No. So many of us here do not even earn minimum living wage. This cannot continue. So there's no reason to stay on indoors. Come out and join the streets.
Small numbers on the first day. Arrested some of them, if not large numbers of them. We're told 51, depends on, he said 51, of course, including journalists and prominent among them, BBC journalists, and Bridget Otu worked here, currently works with Metro TV as well. Of course, is also a known young entrepreneur. And for many of you like Alfred Dodu, Mahindra, as well as Kevin Yashon on our stream, you say that these are the things that are needed. And Amamago says, I didn't see you at the demo. Why? Another question. Maybe I'll answer that. I think I was there when I was covering. But what do you make of all this? What's the president's own thinking about the concerns that have been raised by the demonstrators, Andre Japamesa?
Well, let me say good morning to our viewers once again, and to take the opportunity to wish my personal assistant, Jeffrey Osemesa, happy 30th birthday. He turns 30 today. Jeffrey and I have been working together for almost 10 years. He started off as an intern when he was in Legon at my law firm.
Wow.
And he moved on to the Ministry of Energy with me. So happy birthday, Jeffrey. You are very much treasured.
Jeffrey, happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the president's thinking, but as a consummate Democrat, I believe that he shares my own sentiments, which is that people have a right to demonstrate. It's a right that is enshrined in our Constitution, that is guaranteed. And so to the extent that you follow the law, it is okay for you to express your views. My own concern really is the derogatory nature with which the seat of our government is described as Jolobi House. I mean, and it's really sad that the media is glorifying this by amplifying it.
I don't understand. It's the name of the demonstration.
But name of the demonstration, and there is not descriptive of any particular place in our country. We've had demonstrations in the past. Occupy Flagstaff House. Okay, you could have just said Occupy Jubilee House, and your message that you want to convey will still have been conveyed without.
How do we change the name of the demonstration? It's the hashtag that they coined for the demonstration.
Yeah, but of course,
and it's the headline name for the demonstration.
I don't have a problem, okay. But I'm saying that I really don't have any concerns with people demonstrating. Okay, I've participated in demonstrations before in the past. When I was in Legon, we demonstrated against the imposition of AFUF and RFUF. Okay, and so really, it's a right that every Ghanaian is entitled to. But I'm saying that if, as demonstrators, you would describe the seat of our nation's presidency in those terms, I think that all of us should be united in condemning it. Okay, rather than glorifying it and amplifying it. Tomorrow, definitely, occupants of that seat would change. Okay, and if people use those derogatory words or some others to describe it, I'm not going to be happy when that happens. I'm saying you can make your point without putting, set derogatory descriptions on important national institutions like the presidency. Okay, but that said, I mean, you make concerns, some are legitimate. Some are exaggerated.
Which ones are exaggerated?
Well, if you, for example, say that you are claiming the people's democracy for them, what really are you seeking to do? We know the mode with which our democracy is exercised. There's a freedom to associate, freedom to join political parties, to articulate your ideas and contest an election, given a certain time frame within which to deliver your mandate. If the people are satisfied with you as they were with the government of His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo in 2020, they will renew your mandate. If in 2024 they are satisfied that His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the one who can redeem us from the economic challenges that we find ourselves in, or that if Mr. Mahama, who kept us in darkness for 4 years, is the one who ought to come and save us, they will take the decision. There's no issue.
I don't understand. You're saying that if a government really is elected... Are you saying that...
No, I'm coming.
Are you saying that if a government is elected into power, there should be no agitation, concerns with... But that's what you're saying. No, we should wait to the end of an election year.
Listen, I said if you make a claim or you make a statement to the effect that you are claiming the people's democracy for them, how do you mean? That's the point that I'm making. How do you mean? That some other means ought to be deployed to change our governments? This is a gentleman who has been calling for coup d'etats in the past. So really, inciting the military with insults. So really. But I saw some placards complaining about La General Hospital, which, with good intent, I sat in Parliament and participated in the approval of the loan. But some conditions have not allowed the project to commence. But of course, there are several lands in Ghana. If the structural integrity was intact, I'm not sure government would have demolished it. But we've seen reports. And so if you say that you demolish a hospital and you've kept it unbuilt to date.
Which is a fact.
Yes, it's a fact. But the demolition was not premised on anything. It was just on a whim of somebody. So you need to be fair with the fact that, well, if you're unable to access that facility from Polychandra, if my recollection is correct, can you find alternative sources to rebuild it? Of course, it's legitimate. There are several hospitals that are being built across the country as we speak. There are projects that, because of the debt exchange and the IMF program and all that, have stalled. Legitimate. Government is working around the clock to restart some of those. Okay, you go to my constituency, Efiam Kwanta Regional Hospital. It's being built as we speak. Several Agenda 111 projects are ongoing. But we see also some road construction that have stalled. But I know that the Ministry of Finance is working around the clock to resolve all the issues that there are so that these projects can start. Okay? Look, Roland, we speak as if to say it is only Ghana. And I agree that because we live here, we should be concerned about happenings in Ghana. But we cannot be oblivious of circumstances around the world.
I don't understand you.
I'm coming. A couple of weeks ago, I was in England. Okay, went to a shop to buy some item that I was being assisted by an attendant. But it coincided with a Zoom meeting that I had to participate in. So I spent almost an hour on the Zoom call. And so when I finished, the attendant was asking me, because obviously he had eavesdropped into my meeting, right? Even though he couldn't hear, he could hear, what was on the phone, because I had earphones on. Obviously, when I speak, he could hear some words. He asked me, and I said to him that, well, what I did, and I said to him that I'm Deputy Minister for Energy in Ghana. His expression was that this must be difficult times for you guys, because we here in UK, our gas bills has gone through the roof. So I'm saying governments across the world are facing challenges economically. Ghana is not unique. But if you say that, look, we have a real situation on our hands that would take time to resolve, it's as if to say you hold some magic wand that you can resolve all the problems overnight. When you talk, you say, oh, don't give excuses. Everything COVID, everything Ukraine, everything Russia. But these are facts that you cannot wish away. And I ask that, okay, so yes, we had problems between 2017 and 2020. No doubt. But was our economy the same between 2017 and 2020? So it cannot be obvious to everybody that 2020 was something that has impacted us significantly. Again,
we're back to the response and the excuse. COVID,
see,
Russia,
you can describe it all you want, but we are a government. We have a responsibility to explain and to proffer the solutions that we are proffering to resolve the problems. It cannot be said that this country, everything is kosher. I have family. I go to the market. We know the cost of products have gone up. Inflation is up in the moon. We all know. We live it every day. And government has put its shoulders to the wheel to work round the clock to ensure that some of our problems are resolved. I cannot sit here and ever think that as a government we can resolve all the problems of this country. Because even our financial situation itself, live in a country where, as of last year, your total tax revenue is unable to pay only 3 of your budget items.
So you reduce your expenditure?
Well, in 2017, I recall when we went to Parliament the first time, when Haruna Drusu was speaking to the implementation of flagship projects like Free SHS. He said, where's the fiscal space? Only 3 items of your budget, okay? Statutory payments, wages and salaries, and interest payments consume 97.3% of your total revenue. Okay, so the structure has been what it is. Government has significantly cut expenditure.
Meaning Haruna was right. You should have watched your expenditure.
But of course, he was talking historical, because in January 2017, Akufo-Addo had just started governance. But that was the structure of the economy that we inherited.
He talked about it in the Gajisbegian
production
economy rhetoric.
But is it an event? It's a process, okay, that will take time to resolve. And government is not relenting at all. But I'm saying that issues, yes, there are. Yes, legitimate people have a right to demonstrate. I do not have any qualms at all with people going on the street and expressing their democratic right. But let's do it with some decency. Let's do it with some decorum. Let's do it to preserve the sanctity of our institutions and still carry our voice through.
He says, one, if you take a look at the lead headline for their demonstration, being the name of that demonstration, of course, which culminated in a hashtag, it was disrespectful. And he says that the demonstrators could have undertaken this in a more decent manner. In my own eyes and what we covered, on the day they were arrested on Thursday, it was a very decent demonstration. Rather, it was the police who went haywire and committed very unlawful actions.
Okay, so you see, the accounts have a saying that good living can cause forgetfulness.
Say it in account, meaning what?
I'll leave it here.
Okay.
You see, our friends who have the benefit of power and the trappings of it today do not appreciate the challenges that the ordinary Ghanaian is going through. And this level of indifference is the reason why my learned senior this morning cannot appreciate the anger, the determination of young people to get the right things done. We have what we call demo lingua. So every demonstration comes with its own language.
Yes.
And so usually you see, even budgets that are read, you see a particular hashtag associated with it. What is derogatory?
It's a julobi.
Julobi. What does it mean in Ghana?
A thief's
The
son.
sound, fantastic. Let me read.
A thief's child.
Good. 23rd November 2016, Facebook post by Gabi Asariotre-Daku. And this is what he says. I can't find my wallet. I think it had been sourced. I mean, stolen. Do you get it? He said, I can't find my wallet. I think it had been stolen. Sourced. And so this is Gabi, who likened source, allowed by the laws of this republic to mean stealing. And so for him, under the Mahama administration, if a contract is sole source, it means that government was stealing from the people. Today, under the watch of Akufo-Addo Bawumia, almost every contract is either restricted tendering or sole source. By parity of reasoning, it means that they are stealing our public funds. And so, if the people who organize this demo decides that the Jubilee House today had become the den of thieves, they are justified to have that view. what you can do is to put them to street proof. What is the evidence? And I'm confident that they will provide you the evidence.
You said Julobi is derogatory, and truthfully, in Ghana, it is derogatory.
But you see, it described a particular crime scene.
And an environmental atmosphere.
And the popular conversation today is that the seat of government today had become a crime scene. And the person who promised Ghanaians that I shall protect the public purse had become an accomplice in the destruction of the public purse. In fact, today the purse is stolen. As we speak today, the latest numbers from the Bank of Ghana suggest that our public debt had risen by another 6 billion Ghana cedis to the region of 575 billion Ghana cedis. What does that suggest to you? I recall vividly, in somewhere 2015, Gabi's newspaper, The Statesman, published, today, every Ghanaian owes 3,600 Ghana cedis. Because according to him, with the public debt around that time, it will cost every Ghanaian 3,600 Ghana cedis. Today, if you pick our total population against the public debt, what it means effectively that a Ghanaian owes 17,000 Ghana cedis. I mean, you cannot claim that you are about to protect us and rather impoverish the people of this country. As for the conduct of the police, it had been roundly condemned. Roundly. He is a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. If you go to court, you apply for an injunction. The process, according to you, had been served on their lawyer. We do know, and he knows, that the processes that were filed in court, they are originating processes. It's not a process that have been filed after an originating process is filed. Meanwhile, the police conveniently said that they served the lawyers of the demonstrators of an originating process. He is here. Has he ever served a writ on the lawyers of the opponent? You serve the party first. Then the party will decide which lawyer he wants to represent him. In any case, if you file a court process, you serve on the party, and the party decides to go contrary, or you have grounds to believe that by reason of the conduct of that party, the administration of justice will be undermined, what do? You cite the person for contempt. When has an arrest become a mode of doing so? Once you have filed a process in court, the matter is now before the court, and he knows it. So there is no justification whatsoever for the misconduct, the rogue conduct of the Ghana police force. And I've always maintained, we are building a society that reflects 2023 thinking. It is not when the British colonialists were in here. You recall how 3 prominent Ghanaians were gunned down by the British colonialists, and the only crime is that they wanted to see the governor at the castle. That was their only crime. If in 2023, the mindset of the Ghana police force is one to use brute force against innocent protesters, then quite clearly, we are backward. And that is why I have always maintained, and I wrote that on my Facebook page, that it appears that the police under the presidency of Akufo-Addo, this regime police, is not learning. Every time they believe that what they have to use is brute force. Regrettably, that cannot be the thinking today. And I'm so pained that we have this kind of conversation today. More so under a man who, for all this while, had been packaged by the media as the human rights lawyer. Oh. Under the presidency of Mr. Akufo-Addo, the human rights violations, the beating of journalists, among other things, is a matter of public record. I saw the report how a BBC journalist was beaten. I saw how your own colleague, Bridget Otu, among others, were manhandled by the police. This cannot be what we bargained for. You see, he made the comment about the large general hospital. I want to believe that my senior here, okay, has the best thinking for the people of 2nd D. The accounts have a say. If you promise me something and you cannot deliver, you don't destroy what I have already.
He says it will cause us structural integrity. We haven't been told that.
I mean, like, seriously?
He says.
Wait from the structural
integrity
integrity conversation. And it suggests the symptom of this government, the lack of thinking and planning.
How do you mean?
Why? You have to provide an alternative for the people. Then you move in. Everything about Akufo-Addo suggests a man who is ad hoc. A man who doesn't sit down, think properly through any policy intervention. From free SHS, look at how shambolic it has become. Look at the cathedral today. In fact, the most expensive hole today is the cathedral. Because this man cannot sit down, properly think before he initiates program. And it's regrettable. I've heard him say that, oh, you know what, at this point, oh, Ghanaians should just take it that there is a global challenge. You cannot continue to globalize your incompetence. You cannot. You are the most resource administration since 1992. I make this point, recognizing the financial resources that have been available to this incompetent, wicked, corrupt administration. The demonstrators have every justification whatsoever to associate the Jubilee House to stealing, if that is what Julobi means in Ghana. And you see, the most painful part in all of this... Yes, the most painful part in all of this conversation is the attempt by the youth wing of the NPP to gaslight the demonstrators, to tell the demonstrators that they are rather wrong, and Akufo-Addo is right. How can Akufo-Addo be right, having plunged this economy into this deep hole?
Now, Mr. Mensah, is it my observation that government doesn't want individuals or group of people who want to picket to excessively, if you look at what the Constitution says are their rights that are granted them, you go to Article 12, as well as specifically on 21, and then its own freedom of speech and expression right that are granted, that a group of people who are agitating cannot coin or name a picketing or a demonstration for their objectives to be met any other way they choose. For example, that was Kumi Preko. Kumi Preko was also quite derogatory as well.
How was it derogatory? Oh, no, you can say so.
Kumi Preko.
That's derogatory.
Was it not?
That there was extreme hardship.
You are saying that this is derogatory. So I'm asking, is it not their right?
But you yourself said to him that Julobi in Ghana is derogatory.
No.
So you said so. No, it's fine.
I did the interpretation.
I made my point. Okay.
I did the interpretation in Ghana.
Let the viewers form their own opinion. Okay. But you see, it's interesting. Earlier on, before the show started, I said that sometimes I go complete blackout, right? Because same script, different actors playing out. Because I recall in 2015, in fact, over the weekend, I was watching a clip. Kweku Baku, Isankuma, Joyce Bawa Muktari, and Egbert Fable.
On Newsfile.
On Newsfile. Bawa Muktari. When people had gone to demonstrate and police meted out massive brutalities against them to the point that one prince subsequently died. You remember?
With a lost eye.
You remember?
I do.
You saw her defense. I'm sure you've seen the clip.
I've seen the clip. There's an even earlier one by Mahama Yari.
So that's what I'm saying. That is, now today, you are sitting here. Constitutes you. Right?
So it's a tit for tat.
Oh, that's why I said that it's the same script, different actors. Okay. But you see, it's interesting that you have the audacity to call His Excellency the President accomplice. In fact, 3 found that an elected government official in Ghana, and there's only one elected government official, is the President of the Republic, had submitted his brother, who is known, his name to serve as a conduit for collecting bribes under the Airbus transaction. You recall? They defend it. And people have made allegations, and they are being investigated. And you call the president an accomplice? So how would you describe the man that you worship on a day-by-day basis in this matter? What was he? An accomplice or an active participant in a corruption of global proportions? Look, Roland, I'm the last to say there are no problems in this country. But that does not mean that government is not doing anything to resolve our problems. Several infrastructure development projects are ongoing across the country. What's the purpose? To ease the challenge, the difficulty of Ghanaians. Only 2 days ago, yesterday, this morning, headlines reporting the tourism minister's training of some people in the
space,
in the hospitality industry in French to assist with our tourism drive. Vice President Office is engaging the youth. Several things are happening. Look, 3 years ago, my good friend Asibi Abo made a point which I found extremely interesting.
Dr. Mark Asibi Abo.
Yes. That we've come a long way as a country. That gone are the days when our budget was less than 30 pages. Where the finance minister came to announce petroleum prices and everything in our budget. Today, the scope of work that governments over the years have done. But we don't see any positives. Because of course,
when did you realize this?
I've always realized it.
Really?
I'm not saying people don't have issues. Yeah, there are issues. There are issues. And I said so here. There are issues. People have committed some wrongs and they ought to face justice. People are being investigated for wrongdoing. By all means, they should carry their cross. But I'm saying that the broader governance structure is working to uplift the good people of this country from poverty, from illness, from suffering. It's all being done. Okay, yes, the impact and how you assess it may be different. For political expediency, people will say all sorts of things. It's also true. After all, Mr. Mahama told us that when you are looking for power, you say all sorts of things, including lies and all that.
Those organizing the demonstration are not NDC members, so I don't know why you keep making reference.
Please. Is Eduji an organizer of the demonstration?
He's not.
So is he not speaking to it?
Yeah, he's speaking to it.
So why don't you want me to speak to it?
No, you're speaking to it.
But he spoke to it condemning Akufo-Addo. He wants
because
to be
Akufo-Addo is a president.
I'm coming, but he wants Mr. Mahama to be voted for into power. And he's articulating his views in that regard. So why can't I speak in defense of my government?
Mahama did not put the demonstrators on the street.
Roland, I don't have a difficulty. They've raised issues that is being played in the political arena. Okay?
You're saying they are political demonstrators?
I'm saying they've raised issues that is being played in the political arena. He is speaking to advance his cause. I'm speaking to defend and to draw clear examples as to what happened when they were in government and the kinds of things that this government is doing to change the fortunes of our country. Okay? And so I'm not interested so much in what Bakavoma or my good friend is saying. I do not share his views. I do not endorse his politics. Because anybody who thinks that the transition of one government to another ought to be done through some military force, it's not somebody that I can support, because I, even though a very young man, I have lived through some revolutions and I saw what it is that happened in this country. And I'm telling you that over the years, we've come a long way. Significant progress has been made. It's not an event, it's a process. And I trust that the Akufo-Addo government is doing all it can to resolve the issues that is confronting our country.
At the end of the day, if you have to rate the government, Andre Japamesa, 0 to 10, in relation to the concerns they are raising, because these are non-political actors, young people on the street.
That's what you think, right? But it's fine.
And as a justification for them not to be on the street, what will be that rating?
Where 0 is what and 10 is what?
It's a range.
But if you give me a range, I have to know the meaning of both sides.
0 is 0.
0 is 0 means what?
10 and 10 is 10.
Oh, that good performance is 10 and bad performance is...
Certainly.
Oh, no, I'll rate the government 7.
All right, 7
Yes.
over 10.
See,
Now, how do we look forward to this now? More demonstrations? And why?
Let me put on record. Mr. Akufo-Addo is an accomplice of the pervasive corruption that is going on under his watch. You see, the accounts have a say. And I like the accounts because it explains...
But you never made the account say it. You never stated it.
You are interjecting me. I kept quiet when you were all over the place. Please. And I'm not comfortable with it. You see, if you're an elder and you sit down for children to use the knife at home to do what is not right, you are deemed an accomplice. We in this country are aware of how the Al Jazeera documentary specifically mentioned Akufo-Addo as an accomplice of the internationally known money launderer and gold trafficker. Akufo-Addo attempted, thinking that he's in Ghana, to threaten, like he's been threatening journalists in this country. And Al Jazeera called his bluff. It's been more than 6 months now. He's not had the courage to even attempt a rebuttal to Al Jazeera's refusal. That's on record. We saw a video where Akufo-Addo was specifically taking bribe of $40,000.
Which bribe is that?
The $40,000 bribe.
Of what?
Oh, you've not seen that video?
In which of the instances?
I'll send you that video.
Because as far as I'm related, there's no specific video in which, and I've said this here, and I will reiterate it, in which the president, as president, was seen receiving, with evidence, any money. There's a video before 2017 in which the president is receiving an envelope, and I've said this several times on this platform. And if you are making reference to that, that's granted, because that's a public video. Good. But you don't make please. You're a lawyer. So you don't say the president received $40,000.
It was a bribe.
Of what?
$40,000.
Where? When?
Here in Ghana, in his house, Nima.
And I'm saying that video was before 2017.
Please.
I have to put that into perspective.
No, the record is there, videoed. The only president post 1992 to be caught on tape taking $40,000.
What's the $40,000? No, there's evidence of a video. He receiving a packed envelope in brown. That is a public matter.
What was in that
public
envelope?
record?
What was in that
envelope? I don't know.
Yes, I'm saying that it is $40,000.
How is that?
Oh, what else do you want to know?
What was the $40,000 for? Because there's
to
no evidence.
retain an appointee of John Mahama. And that appointee had remained under his government. What is he talking about? He's talking about Airbus. You see, I've always maintained that we are dealing with the most useless government since '92. You have evidence that John Mahama is involved in an act of corruption. You have all the state apparatus, the power of the police, the power of the Attorney General to prosecute. John Mahama had lived right under the nose of Akufo-Addo for 7 years. Then you come here and repeat this useless claim.
What's useless?
But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Look, your government, under our watch, was selling one of our prized assets to your cronies, PDS. You are lucky Akufo-Addo is still in government. Now you should be answering questions to the Republic. But that's for another conversation. But you see, and let me repeat this again. If you read the deferred prosecution agreement, the UK government, because they are not like your government, they think, they reason. They say, look, we cannot condemn a man who has never been heard. We will not do that. As we speak today, the UK government had written to the parties involved. You know it. But because of political convenience, today in this country, we have seen an appointee of Akufo-Addo in the person of Cecilia Dapa now tell us that the late brother who is dead can still be remitting funds into her account. The other day, I nearly sent my late father a message. The father, why? You don't know my Momo number. At least to be sending me money from the grave. That is how corrupt this Akufo-Addo and his gang of Julobi have ransacked the public purse and destroyed the economy. Now, can you imagine for a minute, if Cecilia Dapa can hoard this kind of money, can you imagine how much is coming from my friend?
Who is your friend?
Oh, the MPP friends you know, the finance minister, the people who are in direct charge with our money. Can you imagine? So as for the corruption conversation, don't even try it. Because it's your Waterloo. Your government is the most corrupt. In fact, you have destroyed the economy through corruption. And when young people come out to demonstrate, what you do is to demonstrate humility and say, this is not what we promised you, the young people of this country. Yes, it's true we have destroyed the economy. Yes, it's true these are the remedial measures to revamp the economy. But if you come here and you think by saying Mahama or Airbus, it will get you a pass, you are mistaken. Because Mahama is living right with you. By the time you leave here, call IGP Dampari or whoever you think. Why? Akufo-Addo appointed Martin Amidu, correct?
Yes.
The day he announced the appointment of Martin Amidu, he gave glowing tribute to his level of integrity and forthrightness, correct?
Correct.
We were here when in November 2020, Martin Amidu told us that the man who appointed him had personally reached out to him to edit his Ejapa race corruption report. That's an accomplice. And that is why Martin Amidu, without hesitation, referred your boss as the mother serpent of corruption. No president from 1992 had gotten that dubious distinction than your boss, Akufo-Addo. So don't try it. Okay. Akufo-Addo has destroyed people's livelihood. He has destroyed people's businesses through unbridled corruption. And he has no end in sight, no limit whatsoever to steal, and to steal more. And you see, the Akufo-Addo that we knew in opposition, the Akufo-Addo that had to sell his father's hotel to even fund his campaign, today is the richest Ghanaian that we have. And you know what? What is even more...
How do you come to that conclusion?
Yes.
Do you know close for me? I have to talk to Nia Fotelaya.
Do you know that as we speak, look at Akufo-Addo's daughter.
Who?
The daughter.
Which of them? Edwina...
the one who owns the restaurant in Sumunam. Right?
You went there?
Before the father became president, we knew her. Today, she has enough money to acquire a land at Cantonment and to build a restaurant. And you have the courage to even talk about corruption. Look, let nobody mistake the silence of the Ghanaian for timidity or weakness. Because we have what it takes, and the Ghanaian has always demonstrated the resolve to even overthrow the British colonial administration. How much more this Akufo-Addo administration?
What type of overthrow are you talking about?
The democratic process.
It has to be only through the ballot.
The democratic, and that is why we are quietly waiting. Ghanaians are quietly waiting. And what will happen? You have no idea.
Regent of Ponkantamanso, and then also a former parliamentary, a former member of parliament, as well as a former Greater Accra Regional Minister. You said you wanted to make a point on the La General Hospital. I have you on the line. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, please. Can you speak loudly for me? You seem to be far away from the speaker. What point of clarification did you want to make in relation to the La General Hospital? Just in 3 minutes, sir.
Oh, the reasons behind the demolition of the La General Hospital and whatever delays in reconstructing the hospital, for that I cannot tell. But if it's about the structural situation,
the structural integrity.
I was a regional minister. I visited the site of the hospital several times personally when we had cholera situations at hand at a region, and at a point I had to really visit the place with the former president to assess the situation and then find a solution, a lasting solution to it. And there was nothing wrong about the structural issue of the lab polyclinic. So I think whatever situation, if there is any way out, because this is very sympathetic, if there is any way out that government can speed up so that the place will be just fixed with the edifice that they have in mind for the people of La, Nungwa, Teshin, and Dosu to enjoy the facility. I wish they would speed up and then get it done within this short possible time. Because when you look at the pressure on the Lake Hospital and the pressure on other facilities near Labadi and the environment, I think is a situation that one cannot bear. So I will plead with government and I'll plead with my good friend at the studio to advise so that at least there will be some kind of speeding up of the project being brought back, maybe in a bigger size or a newer version than what we had on the ground. That would bring some kind of happiness and good feeling to the people within the environment.
Thank you very much. Ni Laya Foteagbo, a former Greater Accra Regional Minister, giving us some clarification on whether it was a structural integrity compromise as a result being the decision made to demolish the existing La General Hospital. And he was a former Greater Accra Regional Minister. But I want to move on to...
I mean, he's put the statement that I made in contention, so it's important that, because I have a Class FM, online report. In July 2020, the La General Hospital facility was demolished after the hospital administration in 2015 reported severe structural problems. And I recall quite clearly in Parliament that a health minister had indicated, based on a question that was asked by a member of Parliament, I can't remember exactly who, and he had indicated that, look, there were major structural issues with the hospital that had informed government decision to demolish and redevelop. And of course, a loan was contracted. My understanding is that some conditions that were supposed to have been met have not been met. There's been some delay. And so the assurance that I can give to my friends and brothers in La is that as of this 2023, the health minister had indicated that irrespective of the delays, government was still committed to redevelop the facility for the benefit of the
I have to put it into perspective, though. March did end the timeline after a year, because the timeline was supposed to be in 2 years. So March made it 3 years. So the project already is almost close to,
and it's not
2 years in delay, because now we're getting on the indication that we can't get the money for the hospital. That's the official position now. So we'll make it. Now, let me just put something into perspective. And it's in relation to John Mahama as a former president, in relation to any other matter. Apart from very well-publicized reports, especially on Bloomberg about the UK fraud investigators or office on position on the former president's involvement in the Airbus matter. If you look at the Constitution, you go to Article 57.6, it does indicate, actually in 57.5, a president, of course, while in office, is not liable for any civil or criminal proceedings. However, you go to 6, says civil or criminal proceedings may be instituted against a person within 3 years after his seizure to be president. So the president, former president, has not been president for 7 years, right? So if the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo found him liable, criminally or not, for any action he took in office, by this time, ideally, it should have been before the courts, right? I don't know whether those who put this closure to this constant matter. I have this one. Can Andrew? Please. Well,
you know that the Airbus decision
can Andrew please stop referencing
January 2020?
Can Andrew?
More than 3 years after Mr. Mahama left office.
Are you waiting for the UK fraud office to give you a position?
Wait. You read the Constitution.
Yes, please.
You read the Constitution. Okay.
That your government,
please stop referencing
Constitution. You are waiting for UK government to make filing against John Mahama before.
Please call Mr. Ajimandria of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies.
And the French government and the American government.
So we have
three governments.
So Helga, can I just read, please?
3 years. In fact, 4 years after Mr. Mahama left office.
Right.
Imagine this.
So does it fall
so
within?
You are waiting for the UK.
Please. But Airbus is a French
company. How useless have you been?
That's okay, please. Please, the two of you. The two of you. I have read a constitutional provision, please, which does indicate if a person is president in office, has immunity from criminal or otherwise prosecution. Also, post-office, after 3 years, that person, and this time we're making reference to the former president, of course, who currently is the presidential candidate of the NDC. And John Mahama has been out of office for 7 years. So if the government, after the 3rd year of him being out of office, has any evidence of any criminal actions,
read the provision again. It says within 3 years, not after 3 years.
If he has performed any action while as president in office after 3 years, you can
within
do that.
3 years.
Okay,
not so after 3 years.
Criminal within 3 years after season office.
After season office.
Okay.
So you can only
so that is clarified.
2019.
Now that is clarified.
So clearly he falls outside this judgment that.
Please.
Can
Andrew please stop referencing? Please. Can we play the demonstrators for me, please? Can we play the demonstrators, please? Play the demonstrators.
Hold on.
Please play Bakavomawo for me, please. Helga sends me this.
Nobody.
Andrew, please stop referencing developed countries like the UK.
You think
yes, they have challenges too, but they are not losing $3 billion to corruption every year, and that's also. And then also. Go back
all the way to
please.
Yes,
please.
I want that conversation. I want that.
And we do here on the assessment.
Please.
You forgot.
Do we have Bakavomawo?
You see, you have forgotten. I always say your government.
Do you have Bakavomawo?
Showing up again. And we're marching to Julobi House. That is the purpose and intendment and end point of our demonstration. We have no intention to confront the police.
No.
We're inviting the police again to be respectful of the law and the rules of our constitution. That the language of orders from above masses. There's no order more stronger that speaks with a clearer voice than the Constitution of this republic.